Hello, Sam here with jbugs.com. In our last video, we showed replacing the floor pans of our 1971 Super Beetle. Part of that process was repairing the rust damage in the frame head, but we didn't want to tie that repair into the floor pan video as it isn't typical of part of the process. We do, however, want to cover that and show you all at home, so while we're borrowing my friend's shop, we made sure to film it all for you. Before we start, we'll make sure to say, wear appropriate protective gear, work in a safe and well-ventilated environment, and only perform work that is well within your capabilities. Cutting, grinding, and welding can all be dangerous, so make sure to use the necessary precautions. With the floor pan out of the way, we start cutting along the frame head with a sawzall, all the way through the rust and into solid metal. We swap out to a grinder with a cutoff wheel and cut down through the body flange area, down to the previous cut. And finish off the cut at the top so we can remove the rusted top portion. The end of the bottom plate has some rust damage as well, so we cut away the rust, but we make sure to leave the two body holes, which aren't rusted, in place, so we can use them for alignment. On the top side of the chassis, we ground down the remaining flange of the frame head and clean it up with a wire wheel, so we can locate the spot welds. The spot welds are drilled out, and the steel scraps are hammered, chiseled, and pried off. The edges of the bottom plate are cleaned up, and then we set the new frame head in place on the chassis and line up the end with a long flathead screwdriver. Setting the replacement piece in place helps to locate a cutting point for the patch piece we'll use, and we cut the section off with a cutoff wheel. We set the patch piece in place and we can see that the internal bolt braces need to be ground down so it will sit flat in place. Once we have the patch piece test fit, we drill out some holes in the edge of it so we can use them to weld through when we install it later. The bottom edges of the patch are cleaned up. We spray the inside of the frame head with rust converter, and then we clamp our repair piece in place with a pair of vice grips. We weld the patch in. We seam weld the entire edge of the cut. Then we fill in the holes we drilled, weld the original bottom plate first, then the patch piece. This is referred to as a plug weld or a rosette weld, and is the easiest way to duplicate the original spot welds. The welds are smoothed out with a flap wheel and a grinder. Then we get to work at the bottom side. A paper template is made. We cut out a matching piece of metal from our replacement frame head, and we weld it in place to the chassis. Then all the welds are smoothed out, and the repair on this side is complete. The entire process repeats again on the opposite side once we had cut out the floor pan there. We end up with both sides repaired. We clean up the frame head with a wire wheel and spray paint the chassis to protect the metal. Of course, once the frame head was repaired, we were able to install our new floor pans. And of course, we'll have more videos of the repairs to our Beetle out soon. Thanks for watching. Make sure to click the like button below, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and when you need parts for your vintage VW, head over to jbugs.com.